Hi all, it is Mask Monday. Pumpkin and ginger detoxifying charcoal mask. I saw these videos of these mostly teenagers. They saw some TikTok or something where you make your own charcoal mask with these charcoal pills you're supposed to ingest and Elmer's glue, which, you know, it's got to be a bad idea. Why would they think that's a good idea? Putting Elmer's glue on your face. If you were ever a little kid and you put glue on your hand so you could like peel off your fingerprint or whatever, you know, that's not going to be fun, getting that stuff off your face. And it's all these girls with this black charcoal mask on, trying to peel it off and just screaming because it hurts, and leaves them with like red raw faces because it takes the whole layer of skin off. I'm just like, why? Did they not see the first video where that happened? What made them think it wasn't going to happen to them? This is a charcoal mask, but it's not black. And it's not going to tear my face off. So, as you can see by the way I'm moving my head, I still can't tilt it very good, but it's much better than it was. I'm much happier than I was. I was not a happy camper there for a while. I don't want to put this too close to my eyes. My eyes are so red. I don't know why. Tired, I guess. But I'm not sure how good this is around the eyes, so I'm not going to put it around the eyes. Alrighty, this is probably 15 minutes. Usually they are 10, 15 minutes. So what shall we talk about? I thought about this last night and I have a saga for you. You guys like my stories. This one is how I met my ex-husband. So my best friend and I went to high school together, and her mother was a widow and worked nights. So I would go spend the night at her house so we could do pretty much whatever we wanted because there's no parent around to tell us any different. So her boyfriend was the president of this car club. I can't remember the name of the car club. I don't remember. But anyway, it was a car club. And they each had their own like cars they drove, and then they had a project car they were working on. And the vice president of the car club his name was Roger, and they wanted to get the two of us together so we could go on double dates and stuff like that. So I met him through a blind date. That's actually how my son and daughter-in-law met too. My older son, her cousin and one of his friends were getting married, and they invited them both to a party. So it wasn't exactly a blind date, but you know, they brought them both to the party so they could meet each other. So anyway, back to my story. So I go to her house early to get ready in the afternoon, and I'm coughing and hacking and stuff because I've got a cold. So she gives me a hot toddy, and I am not a drinker, never been a drinker, never will be a drinker. She gives me this hot lemon toddy, and the hot and the lemon was soothing on my throat, so I drank it all. So by the time they show up, I'm drunk as a skunk because it doesn't take much to get me drunk. So they come walking in the door and I'm like, hi! Eventually I wore off, but yeah, I was drunk there for a little bit. So we decided to go to this party that they'd heard about, some friend of a friend kind of thing. And we get there. I don't know if you know what the Hells Angels are. They're a motorcycle club that's well known for their criminal activity, shall we say. So we show up and it's a Hells Angels party. And I'm like, no, don't want to be here. We stayed for a little bit. And I don't know why I opened the oven, but I found in the oven a brick of pot. And everybody's like smoking and snorting, and mostly pot back in those days. You didn't hear cocaine too much. It was mostly just pot and drinking. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not comfortable. Let's get out of here. So we didn't stay very long. I'm not a Hell's Angel kind of girl. So we went to the beach and kind of just sat on the sand and chit-chatted. So that was my first date with my eventual husband. And on our second date, he asked me out again, surprisingly, seeing as I was kind of a party pooper for the party and drunk when he met me. I'm surprised he asked me out again, but I was pretty good looking back in those days. I had what's known as an hourglass figure. I was 38, 24, 38. So teeny tiny waist and big hips and chest. Uh-oh, something just fell. Let me go check what that was. As I suspected, I got this IKEA thing. It's about this big and it's got suction cups and you put it on your shower wall and it holds stuff. And I've had stuff in it for 2 weeks, no problem. I didn't add to it or anything. Just all of a sudden decided not to hold, and all the shampoo and all that stuff went crashing down. I'll fix it later. This is almost dry already. Or was I? Oh, second date. So the second date, we went to the Righteous Brothers concert. If y'all remember the Righteous Brothers. What's the song that was kind of our song? Don't remember. Shows how long ago it's been. I was 17, so it's been a long time ago. Anyway, we went to the Righteous Brothers concert and it started pouring down rain. So we got all wet, and so he gets home that night and he takes all his wet money out and runs it a little line and puts it on clothespins. And his mother freaks out when she gets up because she worked for the Secret Service. And that's one of the things they do with fake money is they hang it up to dry after they've printed it. So she had a little start there. Working for the Secret Service. That's an interesting thing for your mother-in-law to do, is work for the Secret Service. She initially was like a secretary, and then she was an office manager, and then eventually she was the one, I'm listening to the toilet run. My roommates thought she fixed it, but obviously not, because it just started running again for no reason. Anyway, she worked her way up, and then after Robert Kennedy was assassinated, they started protecting presidential candidates, viable ones, not just some, panda bear or something, but ones that actually have a chance of winning. They started protecting all of them. So she would go, during election years, she'd go to Washington, D.C. and coordinate all of that protection for all of those presidential candidates. And when the kids, it was after I got divorced, but not that long after, so the kids were pretty young. They were probably 10 and 4 or 11 and 5, around there, because I got divorced when they were 10 and 4. She took us to Washington, D.C., and we went and got into different things that we wouldn't normally get in. Like, we were walking across the Commons area, from our hotel to the White House, because we were going to go this behind, not what the normal tours show you, but behind the scenes tour of the White House. So I was really excited about that. And my younger one starts throwing up. So I'm like, okay, you guys go ahead. I'll take him back to the hotel. So I took him back to the hotel and he got better that day, but I missed out on seeing the behind the scenes White House thing. But we did get to go because her brother or son or nephew was in the FBI, and we got to go down to the basement and see Al Capone's gun and all that. They have like a bunch of stuff like displayed, stored, whatever down there, and we got to see some extra secret things the normal public doesn't get to see there, at least. But I missed out on the White House tour. So that was my adventure of meeting my ex-husband. We We dated, I lived in San Diego at the time, in my last year of high school. And then my dad transferred up to, right after I got out of high school, he still lived in, my ex still lived in San Diego, his San Diego area, it wasn't San Diego proper. And I got he got transferred, my dad got transferred up to, it's not Los Angeles, it's below Los Angeles. The garden, it was called, city called Garden Grove, so it's like a little bit south of Los Angeles, a little closer to San Diego, but not a lot, about 100 miles from San Diego, which is where my ex was. But where we were, we could sit on the front lawn and watch the fireworks at Disneyland. We were that close to Disneyland. So I went to Disneyland a lot because we were like right there. So we dated long distance a little bit. He'd come up on a weekend or whatever. And then he got, it was Vietnam years. So this guy graduated from high school in 67. So this was right smack in the beginnings of the Vietnam War. So he wanted to join the Air Force because he didn't want to go in the Army and be a grunt and get shot at in Vietnam. So he wanted to join the Air Force, but he wanted this specific field, training in this specific field. I don't remember what it was. And they had a waiting list. So he's on the waiting list and he gets his draft notice from the Army. So he's like, oh. So he calls up the Air Force and he says, I'll take whatever you've got. So he goes in the Air Force and he goes to boot camp in Mississippi, I think it was, Biloxi. And then he went to his regular training down south somewhere too. And so most of the time I dated him. I should have known better, but you know, young and dumb. We didn't really, I mean, I moved away and then he moved away. So most of our relationship was long distance. So we really didn't get to know each other as well as we probably should have. And then he gets papers for Japan. So we decided to get married before he goes to Japan. So I was 18, he was 20, and he had to have his dad notarize and say that it was okay for him to get married. And my dad wouldn't have done it, but I was 18. With a girl only had to be 18, a boy had to be 21 at the time. But so we got married and he went to Japan, and then 3 months later, I joined him in Japan. And I love Japan, but that's stories for later. So anyway, that's the beginnings of my meeting my ex-husband and marrying him and all that jazz. Looking back, I think it was pretty miserable at home. My stepmother was not very kind to me, shall we say, you know, a stereotypical wicked stepmother. So looking back, I think I probably, some of why I got married so young was to get out of that house. But, you know, I got my 2 great kids out of it, so that's just fine. So how did you meet your spouse or ex-spouse? I want to hear. Tell me, what's your favorite Righteous Brothers song? I cannot remember that song that I keep thinking of the song, You've Lost That Loving Feeling, but that's not it. And that's not even a Righteous Brothers song. I'm just thinking of that song. I don't think it's a Righteous Brothers song, but I'm thinking of that because I just watched the old Top Gun one where that's his ploy to get the girl, is getting the whole bar to sing You've Lost That Loving Feeling to her. Remember that scene? So anyway, that's why that song stuck in my head, but that's not the song I'm trying to remember. I'll have to look it up later. Well, this is super dry. I'm gonna take it off, get some clothes on, get on with my day. Tomorrow I go back to the Erosti person it's like deep tissue massage, and then they give you some physical therapy exercises to do. I've been doing the physical therapy exercise and icing and drinking lots of fluids and all the stuff they told me to do. And it's helped a lot. I mean, I went to the ER and the guy's like, oh, it's gonna be terrible. It's gonna take 2 months and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, I'm not willing to accept that. I don't accept that as my future. People are praying for me. That's not gonna be the case. I don't accept it. So I'm going to do something. You don't have to watch if you don't want to, but you're welcome to watch if you want, if you're interested. Our church is doing 60 days of songs, psalms as in songs. And we're reading a couple of psalms every day. And then we're supposed to pick out one of the phrases and meditate on it for 5 minutes and then pray it back to God. The whole 60 days, because it takes 60 days to get through all the psalms. So I'm thinking about, hopefully this is something that some of you at least would be interested in. I'm thinking about sharing that with you. It's already started, so we're on Psalm 12 or something. But I'm thinking about reading them to you and then picking out the one that I'm going to meditate on and what I'm getting out of it. So what do you think? Would that be interesting? I'm going to do it anyway. So if you don't find it interesting, you can just skip that one. Love you all. Pretty soon I get back to feeling better. If you can picture my bedroom in your mind, I have that big Japanese screen that's gold with a flower card on it that I always had behind my bed. I'm thinking about putting it on this bare wall right here behind me in the living room and putting something different, because I saw some ones I think would go better in the bedroom, and it needs some color in this living room. It's all browns and beiges and it's blah, you know, needs some bright colors. So I'm thinking about putting that screen up and then covering the chairs in the kitchen or dining room and getting some pillows for the couch and stuff in some like reds or deep burgundy or something to brighten up this room, because it's beige floors, beige walls, brown furniture. It's kind of like blah. So I'm thinking about brightening it up. I'm also considering painting the table white, but I don't know. I don't think I might do that. I think if I leave it the wood color, it's a little more oriental, because I'm kind of going with the oriental theme here, because I've got my little oriental stuff up there on the mantle, and I've got more in a box, so I'll get some of my Japanese stuff out. So what do you think? How do you think that gold thing would look in the living room with all these beiges and browns? I think it'd go pretty good. And I saw this one, I was like, woke up at 4 in the morning or something. So I'm getting on my phone thinking, I got an idea, and I'm looking, and I found some, they have scrolls that I used to have some of them, and they've got like wood across the top and a string, and then the scroll hangs down, and then the wood across the bottom and a tassel. And they're a painted Japanese scene. And I found some of those that I liked, and I found some that would go in there, some other ones that would go in the bedroom, because there's like white and black and gray and pops of red. And that's kind of the color I'm going for in there. So I'm thinking about doing that in there and bringing this painted screen that I've always had in my bedroom in here. So we'll see. We'll try it and see what we think. And then I've got a big empty wall behind the TV, and I have probably 20 crosses. I'm thinking of just filling that wall with all my crosses. It doesn't really go with the Oriental theme, but I don't care. It's me. It's who I am. Okay, enough chit chat. Video's getting really long. I gotta get some makeup on, cover these dark circles under my eyes. Good grief. I guess because I didn't sleep that good last night, so I got super dark circles. Love y'all. Happy Mass Monday.